DLD blasters, you know, I'm so glad we had this opportunity to redo some of the more basic exercises, but I also love that we had the opportunity to actually show you what a Kegel is, because DLD blasters can be very confusing if you don't understand what they are. Now, when I first got into PE and I learned about basic stretching, I started to read about the phalloplasty surgeons. I started to read about the penis enlargement surgeons. And I became obsessed with why they were doing this operation, what they were doing, and how it helped men gain. When I found out that they were cutting the suspensory ligaments to allow the penis to hang longer, I was like, okay, then what happens? And then they send these guys home with weights or with extenders or with exercises so they can stretch the penis. And does it work? Of course it works. It's extremely dangerous, but I was obsessed with being able to do that naturally without having to get surgery done. So DLD blasters are the encapsulation of all that. First of all, a Kegel, which is the squeeze that you see right here, right now, you know, you can see as his penis is moving right there, he's doing a Kegel. You can find that muscle movement when you're taking you're urinating. If you're urinating, you stop the flow of urine, that's a Kegel. And as you can see, as you can bounce your erection, and that's a Kegel too. So a Kegel is basically the muscles contracting, and your pelvic floor muscles contracting and pulling back on the penis. It was a very powerful exercise to help get harder erections, but I noticed that if I did a reverse Kegel, where I did a total unflex of those muscles, I was no longer struggling with the pelvic floor muscles and making length gains. They were letting go, because the natural response when you're stretching your penis, the natural response is for the penis to pull back. And most men didn't know they were doing that. So when I first got into this, I was like, hold on, guys. All you have to do to avoid that is do the reverse Kegel. So when you're peeing, you know, I noticed that, well, if I stop the flow of urine, that's a Kegel. But if I push the flow of urine, now I'm doing a reverse Kegel, which means a total unflexible pelvic floor muscles, allowing me to stretch the penis and the ligaments so much more effective. Now, to take advantage of the stretch, I learned a couple other things. That DLD blasters was, first of all, you do Kegels. Why do we have to do 100 Kegels, DLD? Because it serves two purposes. First of all, when you're doing the Kegels, you're pre-exhausting the pelvic floor muscles. And why that's important with DLD blasters is that the more fatigue you have, or the more tired those pelvic floor muscles are, the easier you're going to be able to stretch the suspensory ligaments of the penis. So, and on top of it, the more Kegels you do, the more harder erections you're able to get. So it served a dual purpose. Now, on top of it, there was a position, the A-stretch position, a position that was like this. And why did I do that position? Well, I understood this fulcrum, first of all, of my arm was very, very important. And when I grabbed against it and I clamped over, inventing the A-stretch, I noticed that I could not only get into a position to get this stretch, but when I did the reverse Kegel, I could extend the stretch and really take advantage of the pelvic floor muscles letting go and be effectively stretching the ligaments of the penis. This greatly changed the whole face of penis enlargement, because back then guys were making a half-inch gain over 2 years, and I was like, who wants to be in this thing for 2 years to make a lousy half-inch gain? So I was very determined to make very fast gains, and I made faster gains than anybody out there, and that's why I became so famous so quick in this business. But DLD blasters are really the smartest way for someone to stretch their ligaments. Now, on that topic, as far as SRT, what I've noticed is a misconception again in masturbation. Like a lot of men says, does masturbation affect my gains? If I masturbate, am I going to lose my gains? And it's so silly, because first of all, we're doing penis enlargement to use our penis, not to not use our penis, so let's not set up some stupid obsession about this. But what I've noticed is if you get a really good girth session in, and you're following SRT, after that girth session, reward yourself and let yourself have orgasm, have sex. Use that girthiest maiden you have sex. But what happens after you do that is the pelvic floor muscles now, after orgasm, during this refractory period, or a period where you cannot get an erection, it's a perfect time to stretch the penis because these muscles now cannot resist. And on top of it, your penis is flooded with testosterone. You've just had orgasm, and you'll notice a more malleable, a more stretchable state. This is something I just discovered over the past few months. You know, in this business, it's amazing that I'm still coming to you guys with new things. But after masturbation, it's the smartest time to stretch.